Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to be a bit candid today. And I want to begin this video by asking you guys a very simple question. And I require your honest answer. Is Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president of the Republic of Kenya, really normal? Is Uhuru really normal? Why is Uhuru Kenyatta allowing Ruto to humiliate him? I'm asking this question because today, William Ruto, the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, rounded up all Jubilee elected members of parliament and nominated members of parliament to Statehouse. And Uhuru Kenyatta is just there watching. None of the Jubilee elected leaders are currently remaining with Uhuru Kenyatta. Is Uhuru Kenyatta normal? I'm asking this because, number one, Uhuru is just the immediate former president of the Republic of Kenya. As a former president, I expect that even if people were to leave you, some will remain. Like I'm 100% sure today that if every ODM member of parliament were to leave Raila Odinga, I am sure my member of parliament, Honorable Aduma Owuor, will remain with Raila Odinga. That one I can bet. So you want to tell me that in the entire Jubilee, Uhuru Kenyatta does not have a single member of parliament who can actually stick with him. The second thing which is bothering me is that Uhuru Kenyatta is actually one of the richest individuals we have in the country. Which means if it comes to managing and sustaining this MPs, he can do. Uhuru Kenyatta can identify 5 members of parliament from Jubilee, just sustain them, give them money, facilitate the activities on the ground, just let them be rebels, let them deal with Ruto, and they can sustain that. And of course, you also know that Uhuru Kenyatta still has people in government as we speak. He has sympathizers. Uhuru Kenyatta served for 10 years, which means if you go to any sector, be it security, be it the military, be it just government, he has people who are sympathetic to him. Why is he allowing Ruto to do what Ruto is doing? And lastly, and we can't run away from this, Uhuru Kenyatta at one point in time enjoyed the support, fanatical support of the mountain. So you can't tell me that the mountain, Uhuru Kenyatta cannot go to the mountain. You can't tell me he can't go to the mountain to seek for their support. Because what Ruto is actually doing is humiliation. So in this video, I want us to look at William Ruto's moves on Uhuru Kenyatta. Why he's meeting these members of parliament from Jubilee, his objectives and the intentions. Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Now, let us get back to the main issue. Why do you think William Ruto is doing this to Uhuru Kenyatta? Because even when Uhuru Kenyatta was the president, William Ruto still managed to outwit him. Why do you think that's happening? And lately, William Ruto is actually on the neck of Uhuru Kenyatta. The latest meeting, because the first of all, he targeted members of parliament from the mountain. He met them. Then now, he went to all Jubilee elected members of parliament, who are around 30 in number, and routed them to Statehouse. What do you think are the objectives of that particular meeting? For me, number one, William Ruto is laying an elaborate strategy to finish Uhuru Kenyatta out of politics completely. William Ruto had wanted Uhuru Kenyatta to support him. Uhuru is not willing to do that. Now he's humiliating him. The other day, they were supposed to go to DRC, and I'll do analysis on this. And Ruto frustrated him, so he didn't go. Ruto is accusing them of evading tax. And Ruto has been kicking his allies from government. So basically, if you ask me, the only option which was left for Ruto is to finish Uhuru. Not just finish, because Ruto has finished Uhuru. He just needed to finish him completely. He wants to force Uhuru out of politics. I don't understand why Uhuru is not seeing all this. I don't really understand why Uhuru is not seeing all this. I know Raila Odinga has weaknesses, but even the 9 members of parliament met yesterday. He had actually banked on around 14 of them. 5 of them just chickened out last minute. I don't want to mention their names because some of them are my friends and they might think that I'm against them. But the fact is, I have credible information that 5 more members of parliament were actually supposed to join Ruto. 2 from Nairobi, the rest from Nyanza here. So Ruto is out to finish Uhuru, and it's going to finish him. Unless Uhuru will do something drastic. But what can Uhuru now do? Because Uhuru's strength was the party. Uhuru Kenyatta just needed, just like, let's take Kanu for example. In the last election, Gideon Moi was left with a few members of parliament, right? And those few members of parliament he was left with, some of them stuck with him. Up to last minute, some of them actually lost with him. So you can't tell me that Uhuru, none of the members of parliament are willing to stake their neck for him. Uhuru is not serious, if you ask me. Number 2, William Ruto is also very strategic. He wants to isolate Raila Amolo Odinga. Because Raila Odinga has started these anti-William Ruto's demons across the country. If you are keen, Ruto is out to isolate Raila, to make these rallies to appear as if they are Azimio rallies. William Ruto would have recently succeeded. The only challenge he has is Kalonzo Musyoka. Because you see, Kalonzo, as much as some members of parliament from Ukambani might go that way, Kalonzo will remain with at least some of them on his side. By removing these Jubilee MPs, it means they will not be attending these rallies. Then I've seen some Ukambani MPs, like the Mavoko member of parliament, Makau, also saying they don't want Azimio rallies in Ukambani, and I've seen the governors from there. So Ruto is strategically trying to isolate Raila so that at the end of the day, Raila is going to be left alone with his ODM brigades. And that's why if you gave me an opportunity to advise Raila Odinga, I'll advise Raila Odinga to turn ODM party into a mass movement, where mass movement means the party is now taken back to the people. You know, like the Gauchos, you know, the Okangas, Nuru Okangas, the Aduinyangs of Kisumu, you know, the taken back to the real people on the ground. You know, I know several of these people like Civilizer in Mombasa, you know, people like Nyundo in Kilifi, people who believes in Raila Odinga. There are several of them. Otherwise, Ruto is going to isolate him, and because his politics is based on governors and MPs, Ruto is going to take those, and Raila Odinga is going to be exposed. So for Raila Odinga to survive, he can identify his members, focus on them, because Ruto is meeting these Jubilee MPs to remove them from these planned rallies. Number 3, and I don't know why Kenyans are not seeing this. Ruto is very strategic. The country is doing bad in all aspects. The promises he made to Kenyans is not going to fulfill. So William Ruto has now shifted to politics because Kenyans enjoy politics. So right now, as we speak, Kenyans have forgotten about the high taxes which the Jubilee government was imposing on Kenyans. For example, the NSSF, they've increased it from 200 to 2,000. So which means if you are earning 12,000, then you will now earn less by 2,000. The cost of living is still very high. So Kenyans, because they love politics, they'll not be talking of this. So Ruto is just engaging himself in drama. Oh, I go meet ODM MPs, it becomes a news headline. I go meet Jubilee MPs, it becomes news headline. Then tomorrow he goes to another place, organize a prayer rally there. You know, Kenyans talk politics, you know, as they wait for Raila Odinga to unleash something on Saturday. Things like those. So Kenyans are now forgetting that the situation in the country is actually there. Number 4, I think William Ruto is another Moi, a kind of a dictator. And William Ruto is trying to return Kenya into a one-party state. There is a discussion in Nyanza, for example, about those who went to meet him yesterday. The discussion is that these guys went for development. The question which I keep on asking internally, I've never asked anybody this question, is that if you claim that by supporting Ruto, then development will come to your area. Now, what about the Kalenjin members of parliament? Are you telling me that because they are automatically supporting Ruto, that development is automatic in their areas? Or are they performing better in terms of development? And I also ask myself this simple question: who are some of the best performing members of parliament last year, before the elections? And names of certain individuals comes up very easily. You can count Ntindi Nyoro, you can count Osoro was performing well. Even that Didmas Baraza was doing well. Then you can even count Jichopevu. All these 4 members of parliament I've counted did so well in terms of development. None of them was supporting the government of Uhuru Kenyatta. So which means as a member of parliament, you can actually bring development to your region and to your people, even if you oppose the government. But the fact is, Ruto is planning to take control of parliament so that any bill will pass, things like those. Number 5, in my view, William Ruto is already campaigning for his 2027 general election. The maxim mapema ndio best is what William Ruto is actually applying. If you ask me, if William Ruto could sustain campaigns for 5 years from outside the government, now he's the president, I don't think there's anything which is going to stop Ruto from sustaining that campaign. Someone was telling me that what Ruto is engaging himself in, he can't sustain. I can't buy that. Ruto can sustain it. If he can sustain the campaign expensively, as an opposition leader, he will definitely do this. And lastly, if you ask me, William Ruto is keen on 2 other things. Kenya Kwanza government legitimacy. Kenyans have been asking themselves whether Kenya Kwanza can pride itself as a legitimate government. Because if you look at the votes, the issues around those votes. So he's doing this by now having 30 members of parliament from Jubilee supporting him. So as opposition, what will you say in parliament? They'll tell you, but we have members of parliament, the majority. Again, William Ruto is also creating perception, because politics is a game of perception. Is creating a perception of someone who is in charge. Raila Odinga is saying, you never won. Okay? Ruto is telling him, I have your members of parliament here. They are acknowledging that I'm the president of the Republic of Kenya. So it's creating the perception that he's already in charge. So you can make your noise from there. I don't know what you think. Those are my thoughts. Please, in case you're watching the channel for the first time, click that subscribe button. Until next time, this is Lee McQueen. Bye-bye.